It was in 1916 on an Easter morning fair. Our Galway boys did mobilise and for battle did prepare. With Captain Mellows by their side, he led our Galway men, saying, "All unite and we will fight for Erin's cause again." The news spread all round Galway, it travelled quick and far. From Ardrahan to Old Clarenbridge, from that up to Castlegar, with Father Feeney in their midst, and the green and gold on high, our noble sons came with their guns from the town of Athenry.
Now I'm going to start with The Foggy Dew, which is a tune and a song associated with this particular event, and I will finish with a jig.
Public Nairn, the Provisional Government of the Irish Republic to the people of Ireland. Irish men and Irish women, in the name of God and of the dead generations from which she received her old tradition of nationhood, Ireland, through us, summons her children to her flag and strikes for her freedom. Having organised and trained her manhood through her secret revolutionary organisation, the Irish Republican Brotherhood, and through her open military organisations, the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Citizen Army, have patiently perfected her discipline. Having resolutely waited for the right moment to reveal itself, she now seizes that moment and, supported by her exiled children in America and by gallant allies in Europe, but relying in the first on her own strength, she strikes in full confidence of victory. We declare the right of the people of Ireland to the ownership of Ireland and to the unfettered control of Irish destinies, to be sovereign and indefeasible. The long usurpation of that right by a foreign people and government has not extinguished the right, nor can it ever be extinguished except by the destruction of the Irish people. In every generation, the Irish people have asserted their right to national freedom and sovereignty. 6 times during the past 300 years, they have asserted it in arms. Standing on that fundamental right, and again asserting it in arms in the face of the world, we hereby proclaim the Irish Republic as a sovereign, independent state. And we pledge our lives and the lives of our comrades in arms to the cause of its freedom, of its welfare, and of its exaltation among the nations. The Irish Republic is entitled to, and hereby claims, the allegiance of every Irish man and woman. The Republic guarantees religious and civil liberty, equal rights and equal opportunity to all its citizens, and declares its resolve to pursue the happiness and prosperity of the whole nation and of all its parts, cherishing all of the children of the nation equally, and oblivious of the differences carefully fostered by an alien government, which have divided a minority from the majority in the past, until our arms have brought the opportune moment for the establishment of a permanent national government, representative of the whole people of Ireland, and elected by the suffrages of all her men and women. The provisional government hereby constituted will administer the civil and military affair of the Republic in trust for the people. We place the cause of the Irish Republic under the protection of the Most High God, whose blessings we invoke upon our arms. And we pray that no one who serves that cause will dishonour it by cowardice, inhumanity, or rapine. In this supreme hour, the Irish nation must, by its valour and discipline, and by the readiness of its children to sacrifice themselves for the common good, prove itself worthy of the august destiny to which it is called. Signed on behalf of the Provisional Government, Thomas J. Clark, Sean McDermott, Thomas McDonough, P.H. Pearce, Eamon Kent, James Connolly, Joseph Plunkett.
I think it was in January 1915 we got word from Dublin that an officer was being sent down to organise and train the volunteers in County Galway. He was to be with us for 1 week only. We were all very excited over the matter. When the night arrived, Larry told me to call the company on parade while he went to the train to meet the officer. When he arrived, I was introduced to a little fellow with glasses. My impression of him was that he may be a clever lad. He was about 22 years, but couldn't be good at fighting. His name, by the way, was Liam Mellows. He came in when the men were lined up, 6-footers most of them. Liam addressed them. Now men, I was sent down to get you to do a bit of hard work. So I want you to be prepared for a week of very hard work. I could see the faintest trace of her supercilious smile on some of the men. When he was finished talking to Larry, and himself went off to arrange about digs, the smiles broke out to laughing. "Who is the ladine?" asked one of the fellows, who talked to us about hard work. They all enjoyed the joke, but before the night under his command was over, they laughed no more. They loved and respected him after that. On Easter Sunday morning at 7:45, I had the company on parade, just starting to march to the church, when McNeil's dispatch arrived. No action to be taken today. The volunteers completely deceived. We called a meeting during the day and got out the dispatches to be sent to all the companies that we had notified about the rising, informing them that the rising was off. I went to work next day thinking that everything was over, at least for some time. On Monday, when I came to my dinner, I got a message to call down to the hall. When I went down, Larry was there, and his face was a placard in which trouble could be read easily. He handed me a dispatch. "Pierce, going out today at noon. Issue your orders." There was a kettle of fish. What were we going to do? We notified all the companies we could get in touch with. We were told that Liam was back and was in cleaning. We got in touch with him and asked him what we would do. He told us to wait for him, not to take any action until he came. Before evening, everyone knew of the rising in Dublin, and the peelers started to make preparations. They called in all the peelers from the outlying stations and occupied all the houses in the vicinity of the barrack and made an attack on the barrack impossible. The only thing we could do was prepare to defend ourselves in case of an attack. About a dozen armed men remained in my house during Monday night. On Tuesday, we were making all the preparations we could for an emergency. Some of the local companies came in to join us. On Tuesday night, we decided to retreat towards Oranmore and meet Mellows and his contingent and leave it to him to decide the best to do. We met him about a mile outside the town. He had about 300 men and we had about the same. They had a whole string of carts which they'd captured and 4 peelers. One was wounded. They attacked the RIC barracks in the village of Townbridge and Oranmore without success. At the point where we met, there is an agricultural station. Liam decided to take possession of that for the time being. For some time before that, there was agrarian trouble over this station. They had about 600 acres of the best land in the country, and the people wanted some of it divided, so that it became necessary to build huts for the peelers on the land. These huts, one of these huts was within about 50 yards of the station, and next morning our outposts were surprised to see 7 peelers armed with rifles coming up the road. I was sent out with 6 men to meet them. We opened fire on them. They didn't run away. They fought a retreating fight, returning our fire until they got to the town. After the scrap with the peelers, we called a meeting and decided to retreat to a place called My Old. This was a castle which was owned by one of the big landlords called Pearse. It was about 5 miles from us. The argument in favour of My Old was that we could defend at least our ammunition until our ammunition would be spent. The castle was in charge of a caretaker, so there was no trouble capturing it.
You, my friends, speak of me as being the embodiment of Sinn Féin, but it may be surprising to you to know that there are men and women in Ireland today compared to whom I am not as of nothing. Many of them are poor, almost all are. Most of them are unheard of, and yet their work for Ireland deserves to be known. It will never be, in our day anyway, in all probability, that it is to them to thank the future generations of Irish people will be due. They gave their all in silence, asking no reward and getting none. Simple, honest, knowing nothing of the maze of politics or the ways of the great world outside. Nevertheless, they treasure in their hearts great ideals and noble inspirations. Living lives of great purity and happiness, happy even in their sacrifices, their example would cause others, in Ireland and out of it, to turn their thoughts occasionally to other things besides the material. Dreamers, fanatics, intransient, fools, yes, but incomparable and sublime. Let me tell you a story. On the night of the second last day of the rising in Galway, things looked as black that it was felt incumbent I should address the men and put the situation clearly before them, so that it could not be said that they had been led on in ignorance, led dupes of and fooled. Can I ever forget the scene? 700 men drawn up in the courtyard of a castle residence that there was our headquarters at 2 o'clock in the morning. A weird light being cast on the assemblage by several torches of bogdeal. They were armed by every conceivable weapon, rifles, shotguns and pikes. I spoke to them at length, putting the situation clearly before them, and ended by saying to any man who did not feel he could go any further with us, could go home and he would not be thought of any worse off. He had risked everything in coming out, and no man could do no more. There was dead silence for a few moments, and then a big powerful countryman, one of those simple, honest, and as some I know here would designate uncouched and ignorant fellows, stepped forth and said, "We came out to fight for the Irish Republic, and now with the help of God, we are not afraid to die for it."
The news spread all round Galway, it travelled quick and far. From Ardrahan to Old Clare Bridge, from that up to Castlegar, with Father Feeney in their midst, and the green and gold on high.